Today on Shop Nation, I share some organizational tips that you can apply in your shop, including maximizing your drawers and making the most out of your cabinet storage space. What's up, you guys? I'm Travis, this is Shop Nation, and today I'm going to show you 2 organizational hacks that you can do in your shop to get your shop a bit more organized and hopefully a little closer to shop greatness. You see, here's the dirty truth. I have a whole side business dedicated to shop greatness and shop organization and making your shop great, and mine still looks like this. So just know that if your shop's a little messy, if things are not quite how you want them to be, it's okay. It's a process. But today's tips, I think, will help jumpstart that process. And the 2 shop hacks that I'm going to talk about today is maximizing the space and efficiency within a drawer. And then the second one is an easy way to add a lot more usability to something like cabinets. So as you can see from looking around my shop, I really prefer drawers over doors. I just think they're way more functional. But even then, you've got to be intentional on how you use them because they can turn into a bottomless pit just like doors can. Now, I just set the shop up a year ago, so a lot of things in the drawers are actually not in a very good place. They're just kind of thrown in there to get them up and out of the way. And now that I finally have some time, we can start organizing. And we're actually going to start with the workbench. Now, I just got done building this thing, so these drawers are brand new, and I just kind of threw stuff in them, so nothing is in its final place. And these 4 drawers you see behind me are in the workbench to house things that I use either around the bench or I want quick access to. And probably the most important drawer out of those 4 is the top drawer. So this is where I want to keep all of my most used stuff that I use here or just anywhere close. And you can see that I kind of made a half-hearted attempt to get a little bit of organization started, but this is not what I want. And this, I think, is the first step of any organizational project, and that is to be intentional about what you're trying to do. If I just say I want to store things in the drawer, the first things that I think of or the first ones that I throw in there are going to be what lives in there forever. Versus if I'm intentional to begin with, the things that I put in the drawer are probably going to be the ones that end up staying in the drawer, but they are what should have been there from the get-go. And based on my scenario around the workbench, I use things like layout tools, jigs and fixtures, especially for T-track, pencils, tape measures, things like that. That's the stuff that I want quick access to in the drawer. So I'm actually going to start with layout tools. And for this, I'm going to use Kaizen foam, which I've used way in the past in one of those early Shop Nation videos. But the stuff is great, and I had a couple sheets laying around, so I thought, why not? The first step is to lay out your tools on the foam how you want them to sit. Now, another tip or hack here is to plan for the future and leave space to add or modify tools later. Once you're happy with the layout, you then transfer those shapes to the foam using a transfer pen. Now, all these cool gadgets that I'm showing, I'll have linked down in the video description below if you want to go check them out. But if you don't have one, just use a Sharpie or a pencil. The trick is to keep it as upright as possible so you get an accurate silhouette of whatever you're tracing. Then, using a sharp, small razor blade, carefully cut into the foam along your trace lines. After that, you just remove the foam to create the tool pockets. It's as easy as just peeling up the foam layers within the Kaizen foam. Now, the way this stuff is made, there's multiple layers, so you can make pockets whatever depth you want. Now, the first part of this drawer hack is to think in 3 dimensions. And what I mean by that is, although you might have a big, wide drawer that you think you can put all kinds of stuff in, but you only fill it up with flat things, that entire volume above that stuff in the drawer goes to waste. So for my particular drawer, I'm going to use a 2-tiered system. Now, the Kaizen foam insert we just made is going to go on the lower tier. Above that, I want to create a sort of sliding drawer to take advantage of that upper space in the drawer. Now, this drawer is only 3.5 inches deep, so it's not a very deep drawer, but you can imagine this becoming really useful in those even deeper drawers. Now, this upper drawer slider is just going to ride on 2 rails of 3/4 inch plywood, and the tray itself is going to be made from 1/2 inch MDF. And what's great about shop organization projects like this is you can make probably most of this stuff from scraps you have laying around your shop. So once I've got the rough frame of what this tray looks like, I can then start laying out what I want to keep in the tray, keeping in mind that I'm going to have to keep pretty shallow items there. So I've got several clamps that I use on the T-track, some T-bolts, some knobs, and then finally marking utensils like Sharpies and pencils. Now, exact measurements here don't really matter, just lay them out and add dividers wherever you need them. And because the construction is so simple, if I need to change or even replace this in the future, it's no big deal. Now you can see how efficiently I've taken advantage of both levels. So this now frees up the entire area to the right in this drawer, which you can store really anything else. I'm actually going to make a smaller insert that just sits on the base of the drawer, and then leave the far right for some taller items that I use all the time, like safety glasses, a dust mask, and maybe some tape measures. When I was making the insert, I thought I would keep the tape measures there, but I stupidly forgot that the tape measures were actually too tall and that slider would run into them. But this is a good example of how you can adapt on the fly and really change this to suit your needs now or in the future. So you can see that we've really maximized what we can do in this top drawer, and having all of this stuff, which previously would not have fit just on a single level on this drawer, is just gonna come in really handy. So hopefully you can take maybe 1 or 2 of those tips and apply to your shop if you've got some drawers that need some help. Quick break to thank the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creators. You can explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and just get lost in creativity. Now, whether you're starting a business or just want to learn a new skill, there's literally something here for everybody. Everything from illustration to photography to videography, even how to run a successful YouTube channel by one of the biggest names in the business. Now, I've recently been enjoying some classes around Etsy and YouTube specifically, but really, whatever you want to find is there. And they're always launching new premium classes so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. And the best part is it's curated specifically for learning, meaning there's no ads. Are you interested? Good, because the first 1,000 subscribers to click on the link in the video description below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so you can start exploring your creativity today. Thank you, Skillshare. Let's get back to it. All right, so I mentioned that I prefer drawers over doors, but in some cases, you just have to have them. Like uppers, it wouldn't make sense to put drawers up there. Or maybe you already have some cabinets in your garage that have lower doors. How can you make it a little bit better? Because what usually happens is that. Basically anything in the first 1 or 2 rows, you can get to quite easily. Everything beyond that, the abyss. Who knows? So in this cabinet, I keep all of my spray paints and aerosol stuff, and I have an idea for a better way to store this that makes it a little bit easier to get to if you're stuck using doors like I am. And that is actually to use the inside of the door itself. The problem with door cabinets like this is the depth. If it were really shallow, it wouldn't be a big deal. One way we can kind of create that effect is to create a shallow shelf on the door itself, and then make the interior shelf a little bit more shallow, so that when this is closed, essentially the same amount of volume is used, but when it's open, you have access to about twice the surface area. I have no idea if that makes sense, but just watch. So after emptying everything out of the cabinets to take inventory of what the heck I have, because frankly, I just didn't know, you can start taking measurements of the inside of the door for this interior shelf we're gonna build. So after taking some dimensions of some spray paint cans and doing a really in-depth engineering analysis, I came up with this drawing on a piece of garbage. It's a really simple build. I'm just using some scrap 1/2-inch MDF that I have laying around the shop. So I quickly break down those pieces and create my basic box assembly. Now, one of the tricks that I'm gonna use for this is to actually use bungee cord to keep the cans on the shelf. This is gonna make it actually easier to get the cans in and out because I can stretch the bungee cord and kind of push them in there. I think it'll make a little more sense later. Now, with the cabinet emptied out, you're gonna need to shorten the interior shelf inside of that cabinet. And that's because the shelf we just made is gonna take up some of the volume when the door is closed. I can't actually use the front shelf pins. It's not the end of the world. I just made 2 spacers to sit underneath the shelf to hold it in place rather than use the shelf pins. So now all that's left is to install our new shelf and load it back up with the spray paint. Now, obviously this didn't solve the entire problem. There's still multi-levels of spray paint, which I could easily forget what are in those back rows. But for spray paints that I use a lot, or ones that I just want to have quick access to, this is a great way to make any door style cabinet that much more useful. Now, if you have lower non-drawer cabinets, one thing you can do is create actually pull-outs. So the door would open and you'd pull out, whether it be a full drawer or just a flat drawer where you can store big, heavy objects. This is a great way to take advantage of that space if you're just stuck with doors. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you can take something from this video and apply it to your shop to get you ever closer to shop greatness. I'd actually really like to know if maybe this type of video was helpful to you. I could do some short, actionable shop organization videos in the future. You can either let me know down in the comments or hit the like button. If you want a recommendation to another great channel that has awesome shop organizational topics, go check out my buddy Brad at Fix This, Build That. He's got many videos on really well thought out shop organizational projects and cabinets that maybe you can apply to your shop. I figure we'll kick it old school in this video and do a subscriber update. As of shooting this video today, we're at 153,878 subscribers. I figured that was fitting because the topic of this video was basically the reason why I started Shop Nation. So if you're not already subscribed, consider doing so. I will catch you guys on the next project, and as always, continue to pursue shop greatness.